So, what I want you all to start to take away from this today is just the first thing I want you to start to do when you're experiencing any situation, okay? Especially when you're experiencing something physical, all right? Just put your hand on whatever's bothering you physically and just say, what am I feeling? Ask the simple question that you're terrified to ask. What's this really about? And it'll come to you. God wants you to know the truth so you can be healed. But you have to be ready to know the truth to be healed. And that truth is going to change. And when that truth changes you, a lot of those pylons that you've set up to make yourself feel safe are going to be gone. And there's not going to be as much in the way of you becoming what you're really meant to be and how you're really meant to be and who you're really meant to be. And, for goodness sakes, everybody, why would you want to be in the way of that anyway? Because everything you've once thought about yourself will then be wrong. Everything that everyone's told you about yourself will on some level be wrong. Everything you've told yourself about yourself on some level may be wrong. Maybe everything that somebody you really love told you about yourself that you couldn't accept will really be right. That a lot of your suffering will really be over. That you'll be in a more stable, emotional, and in many ways emotionless state. And I'm not, I don't have a lot of emotions, but I'm not void. I'm not detached in an unhealthy way. I'm present. But I'm not present fearing anxiety. I'm not present waiting to be angry. I'm not present looking to be obsessive or compulsive. I'm not present fearing an addiction. I'm just present. Waiting for something to bring new life into me and waiting for something to bring new death into me. And that's good. Waiting to be wrong and overjoyed because I am, and knowing that I really wasn't wrong. I was just misunderstood, ignorant, waiting to be enlightened. It's a much easier way to go through it. So that's where I want you all to be practicing. And the next time we get together, we're going to talk about, letting go. Today was about letting go, the truth about feelings. Next time we're going to talk about really letting go of them. And about looking at moments of your life as opportunities to let go of emotions. So I'm just going to lay a little bit of railroad track for the next class. We've come to this awareness tonight about the truth about emotions and what they really are. They're reactions. They're subjective reactions to situations that are highly based in erratic judgments that you made or were made on you when little to no of the total information was available. As much as it seemed to all be present, it wasn't. A lot of subjectivity in all of them. And we've talked about how it's really in the highest good, not just your highest good, but the practice teaches us what's in the highest good of life. It's in the highest good of life for us to let go of being guided by these emotions and be guided more intuitively, be more peaceful, be more balanced, be more loving, be more truthful, be more accurate, which emotions tend to make us not. So it's in life's highest good for those of us who are ready to let go of our emotional guidance systems and live more intuitively. Okay? Accepting that in itself is true, which it is, because healing comes from it. So if healing comes from it, it must be in some way guiding us in the right direction. The next chapter is about how to let go of those feelings. Well, now that you know that life's intention is to help you let go of using that erratic emotional guidance systems, just remember from this point forward that every moment in your life is happening to help you let go of them. So every moment you're in is an opportunity to be guided by your emotions or to let your emotions go. Every moment. From the guy slamming on his brakes in front of you, to the person cutting you off, to your wife going through an incredibly difficult time and your temptation to be frustrated, it's all right there for you now. Just look at every moment in your life as an opportunity to either be emotionally guided based on past experience or to be intuitively present, have the emotion if you still have it, but not let that situation be governed or guided by your emotion. And we'll talk about that more in the next class, but that's how you let it go. You practice. I had a wonderful woman see me today, and we were talking about this, and she was so honest when she said this to me. She says, you know what? She goes, what you ask everyone to do is really hard work. It's really hard work. It takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot, and you know what? It is hard. It's hard to learn how to do anything really, really well and proficient until it becomes unconscious. That's what makes a professional at anything. They get to the point where they're doing it without thinking about it anymore, and then they get to really enjoy the situation because they're not thinking about it. But to get to that point, I can't remember what my guitar teacher once told me. Something like it takes 10,000 hours for a person to become a professional guitarist. Like 10,000 hours. Anyone who puts in 10,000 hours can be a professional. Okay. I'm asking you all to engage in one of the most important professions all of you are ever going to have. It's the profession we all share. It's the profession of living life. And that takes hard work. Does it take hard work from me as much anymore? No. So I want you to know that although some of you may be in a place with a practice where it seems like it's hard work and it's never going to get over, please continue to move through it, because at a certain point you cross over a place, and I know so many of you in the audience here have crossed over that place where all of a sudden it isn't so hard anymore. And there may be certain parts of it that are difficult, certain parts that you have to practice, like certain parts of a song that you have to try and get your fingers into that chord, and it's a difficult chord. But like 80% of the song is really easy. So you're enjoying 80% of the song, and you're even enjoying that part that's a little bit difficult, because it provides an opportunity for you to stretch and expand your consciousness into a point where you can be at peace with something that used to be highly charged. But it is hard work in the beginning, but it's life's work. Do we have a higher level of respect and love for the force and source of all creation that's constantly doing all this work for us, whether we're conscious of it or not? Can that force and source of creation that I call God be anything but the most loving, compassionate, patient force of all time? Can it be anything but that? I mean, remember, and I'm not judging anyone for being better or worse, but we're at a point where you're actually sitting in front of me and listening to me talk about this and wanting to understand it and apply it. We are a very small fraction of humanity. Most of humanity wants nothing to do with letting go of emotional reactions at all, because they give them the justification to do what they want, when they want, to whomever they want, however often they want. They're addicted to being themselves, for themselves, or for a few other that they believe they're emotionally responsible for being that for. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you will never truly experience a fulfilling relationship, with life when that is the place you're starting from. You may have joy and you may have some, you may have emotional experiences, but I get to experience being joy, being love, being peace. I don't have to live for that sweet moment. I live in those sweet moments. So I leave you with a little saying that came through me. I wrote it in the book. Have intuition for dinner and have emotions for dessert. Have them every once in a while, whether they're good or bad, high or low. Have them every once in a while. Kissing a baby and smelling that baby, that's an amazingly sweet emotional experience. Or being with someone you love, or watching a sunset, or giving someone a hug. Those are amazing emotional experiences, okay? And you should have those experiences. And feeling grief or sadness or anger can be valuable as you learn to move beyond those things. But remember, that should be a very small part of what you're using to fill your life. You have to work towards filling your life mostly with the intuitive experience of life is good and God is good and there's an order and there's a purpose and I'm here to be a student and I really don't have any idea what's going on. So the idea that I'm coming up with some emotional reaction to something that really is the truth of what's going on is completely insane, because the data that I am drawing from to have that emotional experience is, for the most part, completely skewed and inadequate. Is it the best you've got? Yeah, but are we all big enough to realize we're small enough? That it really isn't a whole lot that we're drawing from to come up with those judgments and experiences? I think we're all big enough to be small enough about that. So, have emotions for dessert and have intuition for dinner. And I'm telling you, as I stand in front of you, when you live in that space of having emotions for dessert and intuition for dinner, you will crave less sugar, because life will be sweet. Life will be sweet without the sugar.